Morning, one and all, and welcome to the preview, and then we'll get into some news of the day kind of stuff. And I understand there's some stuff to talk about, and so we'll do the preview first, and then we'll dive on into that as well. All right, so first item up for today is Carolina in against Boston. That starts at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. There are 6 games starting at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific today. Including Carolina in against Boston, with Carolina's record of 16-10-1. Over their last 10, they're 7-3. They've got a goal differential of plus 12. Things are pretty good for Carolina. On the Boston side, they're 19-3-5. Over their last 10, they're 8-0-2. They've got a plus 34 goal differential. And they haven't lost in regulation at home yet, so I'm going to keep saying this is probably when it'll stop, because eventually they have to lose a game at home in regulation. That's just how hockey works. Scoring leaders with one forward, one defenseman each. Svechnikov, 11 goals, 18 assists for Carolina. Hamilton on the blue line, 10 goals, 18 assists. Niederreiter is one that I've highlighted as being a little low when it comes to the points totals. 3 goals, 7 assists, and Jordan Staal, 3 goals and 4 assists for 7 points. No confirmation of their goaltender. Where are they standing currently? They're the number 1 wild card. They would play Washington in the first round. Boston, their leading scorer is Brad Marchand, 18 goals, 25 assists, 43 points. On pace for 130 points, which is ridiculous. Torrey Krug, leading scoring defenseman, 3 goals, 15 assists. DeBrusk stands out as a guy who is picking it up, admittedly, but trying to find guys who aren't scoring for Boston right now is actually kind of difficult. 6 goals, 6 assists for him. Charlie McAvoy, 7 helpers. He does not have a goal yet. Halak will be the starter for Boston. I would imagine Mrazek for Carolina. The number 1 team in the Atlantic right now is Boston. They would play Pittsburgh in the first round. So your reward for finishing first is playing against Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And it doesn't sound much like a reward to me. But moving along. Islanders are in against Montreal tonight in a battle between a team that's played very, very well over this season and a team that is in the midst of an 8-game losing streak that is the longest winless streak in the team's history, going back to 1940. The Islanders, 18-5-2 over their last 10. They're 7-2-1. Their goal differential is a plus 16. That's pretty good. On the Montreal side, they're 11-10-6. Over their last 10, they're 2-5-3. And they have a negative 7 goal differential. So this is where the overtime losses help, in that that's 6 points they have from overtime losses this year that keeps them closer to the playoffs than they would otherwise have. On the scoring front, Barzal's the leading scoring forward for the Islanders with 10 goals, 13 assists, and Pulock is their leading scoring defenseman with 3 goals, 10 assists. Anders Lee has started scoring, but again, when you're looking for teams to find somebody who's not scoring as much as you would think, it could be tough with some teams, and the Islanders on that list. 7 goals, 6 assists for Lee. Cal Clutterbuck with 2 goals and 4 helpers for the Islanders as well. I said it's hard to find players who aren't scoring. Grace is listed as likely. Very surprising if they don't. I think they're going to alternate Grace and Varlamov as the starters for the entire year. The number 2 spot in the Metro, that means that the Islanders in the playoffs would host the Philadelphia Flyers if the playoffs started today. On the Montreal front, Tatar's their leading scoring forward, 9 goals, 15 assists. Weber on the blue line, 8 goals, 13 assists for him. Kotkaniemi, 3 goals, 2 assists. Stands out as a player who needs to score some more. And Max Domi is attracting a lot of attention for not having very many goals recently. He's not a big goal scorer. He's at 6 goals, 11 assists, 17 points. And honestly, that's about right for him. I think he had a fantastic season last year, and I think it likely made the expectation for him a little bit better than where he's going to be in reality. Carey Price is confirmed as the starter tonight. I don't think Caden Primo gets to play while he's been called up. I think this is just he's there until Kincaid gets some confidence and comes back. Providing he cleared waivers, with which a $1.7 million price tag he would. 3 points behind Buffalo right now are the Montreal Canadiens, and they're 4 points behind Pittsburgh. So they are not sizably out of the playoffs. This is not something they can't recover from, although certain media will make you think that it is. Minnesota in against Florida. Minnesota's in the midst of becoming relevant again. They're 12-11-4 in their last 10. They're 6-1-3. Their goal differential is still a -7. They're in against Florida. Florida's 13-8-5 over their last 10. They're 6-4. Their goal differential's a +1. This is a very fascinating matchup for me in that Minnesota's been getting better, and this is a good measuring test, or a good test for that. I'll figure it out. I'll get there. The key with Florida is they seem to have started to play the full 60 minutes rather than playing the catch-up game. And Minnesota really seems to have got their game together as well. They're playing on the defensive end better than they were. And again, we're dealing with a few teams right now in the NHL that sadly have goaltenders going through some tragedy, whether it's Markstrom, whether it's Fleury, or Dubnyk, who's got stressor off the ice, and he's been away from the team to be with his wife while she's dealing with health issues. And so it's an interesting storyline that's going on here, where we have three teams at the same time dealing with goaltenders who are MIA for very good reasons. Stahl's the leading scorer for Minnesota with 8 goals, 11 assists. His resurgence is directly tied to their recent surge in the standings. Their leading scoring defenseman, there's 2 at the exact same totals. Spurgeon and Suter with 3 goals, 13 assists. Luke Cunnin stands out as a guy with lower totals than one would expect, with 5 goals, 4 assists. And Donato, 3 goals, 3 assists. Really hasn't had the bounce back year this year that he needs to have. Kaapo Kakkonen is going to be in net tonight, so that tells you that Dubnyk's likely not being dressed for this one. They're 3 points behind San Jose, so they're only 3 points out of the playoffs right now. Florida, their leading scoring forwards, Huberdeau with 10 goals, 21 assists. Yandles, their leading blue liner, 2 goals, 19 assists. Malgin stands out as a guy that you think should have more points. He has 3 goals and 6 assists. And Matheson on the blue line, 2 helpers for him. He carries a steep price tag for a guy with 2 assists so far this season. I understand the offense isn't his game. I'm just throwing that out there. And Drieger will start again. So Drieger has a chance to improve his shutout streak against a team in Minnesota that's been known to have trouble scoring. They are number 2 in the Atlantic Division, and right now Florida would play Buffalo if the first round started today. So that would be fascinating. Next up, Vegas. Vegas is in against the New Jersey Devils. Again, these are all starting at the same time. Vegas is 14-11-4 after last night's result over their last 10. They're 5-4-1. They're a +5 in the goal differential department. And things are looking up for them. And now they're playing New Jersey, who, wow, 9-13-4 over their last 10. They're 4-6. Their goal differential now is an amazing -31. So we could look at this and throw up an Akbar magnet and call it a trap game. But after the way New Jersey played last night, no. Just no. So, yeah, Vegas has a chance tonight to go in and get, if they get off to an early advantage, if they get a 1-goal lead in the first 5 minutes, 2-goal lead in the first 10, it'll be done. Scoring leader for Vegas is Pacioretty, who's quietly having an excellent season at 10 goals, 16 assists. It is interesting that Pacioretty and Tatar are the leading scorers for their respective teams. Theodore, 3 goals, 9 assists. That's what you call a trade that worked for both teams. On the scoring front, Stastny's 8 goals, 4 assists, 12 points. He's on pace for less than 40 points, but he's also on pace for about 30 goals, so I guess it depends on how you look at it. Nick Hague, 4 assists. It's surprising it's a little bit low, considering how often his name comes up during commentary. They are number 3 in the Pacific, and they would play Arizona in the first round. On the New Jersey front, Hall's their leading scorer, 4 goals, 17 assists. Vatanen, 4 goals and 6 assists on the blue line. I thought it was interesting hearing Montreal media talking, I'm saying media, but it was on Timmins said, and they were interviewing a Montreal reporter whose name escapes me right now. And he said, wouldn't Taylor Hall be great on the Montreal power play? And I thought, well, then why does New Jersey's power play suck right now? Because this is where it gets interesting in that, so it's Hall's only got 4 goals so far this year, and their power play is absolutely horrendous. Some blame has to be thrown at the player who's supposed to be the best on the team. At least that's how I feel. Speaking of which, on the slow side, Subban's been stuck on 2 goals and 3 assists for a while. And that $9 million price tag, now one can see why Nashville was anxious to move that out. Andy Green with 4 assists. He's not an offensive player, but being down there with just the 4 assists, I threw him on the board. Starting goaltender tonight, doesn't matter. Vegas, you've got to think it'll probably be Subban, although it could be Sparks because Subban played last night. And for New Jersey, I don't know. Does Marty Brodeur? I know he does those commercials, and so the commercials that he does for rent-a-car service, you can tell that he has jerseys. So we know he still has the Devils jersey. Can he stop making enterprise commercials for a second and take the net for New Jersey just for tonight, just for giggles? They're 10 points behind Pittsburgh, so they're 10 points out of the playoffs. Which looks horrible until you look at Detroit and see they're 17 points out of the playoffs. 17 points. So anybody who says, well, it's too early to say any team's out of the playoffs, that's when you throw your food and you get up in their face and you yell, Detroit 17 points out of the playoffs. You don't know what you're talking about. That being said, I now need to change boards. Toronto. Yes, I'm wearing Toronto today. I have a good feeling that Toronto's going to continue this feel-good story. And for Philadelphia, they've had an amazing run for about a month now, and I think Toronto's going to present a good challenge. If we've learned anything when these teams meet each other so far this year, it's that they're evenly matched. Toronto's 13-11-4 right now. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Their goal differential is a +1. On the Philadelphia side, they're 15-7-4 over their last 10. They're 5-2-3, and their goal differential is +7. I was surprised to see Philadelphia's only won 5 out of the last 10, considering how much better they've been looking lately than they did early in the season. But still, it's all working for them, right? Scoring leaders, Matthews, 16 goals, 15 assists, 31 points for Toronto. Riley's their leading scorer on the blue line, 3 goals, 17 assists. On the slower side of things, Kerfoot stands out with 5 goals and 3 assists, in part because Kadri's been fantastic for Colorado. CC, 1 goal and 3 assists. I know he's not an offensive player either, but still, that's low. Anderson is your starting goaltender tonight. They sit 1 point behind Buffalo, 2 points behind Pittsburgh in the playoff race. On the Philadelphia side of things, Konechny, 9 goals, 16 assists for him as the leading scorer for the Flyers. On the blue line, Provorov having an excellent bounce-back season. 6 goals, 11 assists, 17 points. He was not great last year, but he's got it back this year. On the slower side, James Van Riemsdyk, 5 goals, 6 assists. He's another one of these guys that he got paid when he was past his prime, and now that contract doesn't look great. Gostisbehere, 2 goals and 5 assists. He's shown signs of waking it up lately. Maybe he and Tyson Barrie tonight can have a battle between the defensemen looking for redemption. Hart is your starter tonight for for Philadelphia, and they're number 3 in the Metro. They would play the New York Islanders in the first round in what would be a fantastic 70s throwback. That's how I see it. I know they played each other in other decades since then, but I always, when I see Philadelphia and the Islanders, I think of the Broad Street Bullies and the old Brian Trottier, because I'm old. That's how that works. You'll get old too, and then you'll see that's how it works. People get old. All right, Arizona in against Columbus, and this is the last of the games that start at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. These are updated, by the way, so while I'm going through who would play who, this is updated. Arizona's 15-9-4. Over their last 10, they're 5-3-2. They've got a goal differential of +11. On the Columbus side, they're 11-11-4. Over their last 10, they're 5-4-1. And they have a -14 goal differential. So it's kind of weird because over their last 10 games, their records are very similar, and yet you don't get the feeling there's a lot of upward momentum with Columbus. This is where getting off to a really fast start makes a big difference. Arizona had the really good start to the season. Columbus didn't. And so we end up with this situation where they look like they're really far apart, and yet when you look at the numbers over their last 10 games, they're virtually identical. Scoring leaders, Schmaltz, 5 goals, 15 assists for the Arizona Coyotes. Goligoski's the leading scorer on the blue line. 2 goals, 14 assists, which feels like a lot. On the slower side, Kessel, 4 goals, 10 assists. He is not scoring as well in Arizona as I think he had imagined he would. The more disturbing thing with Kessel is the defensive side of it. Like his, and I know people don't like plus minus. You know what? Go look at Arizona's. The difference between Phil Kessel and everybody else is shocking. Absolutely shocking. And if somebody says, well, it's because he scores on the power play, then it means that 5-on-5 he's atrocious. Richardson stands out as well with just the 2 helpers. I've said it before. He got to almost 20 goals last year. Will he get 2 this year? Kemper will be the starter for Arizona. As I stated previously in this video, they are number 2 in the Pacific. They would play Vegas in the first round if it started now. On the Columbus side of things, Dubois is your leading scorer with 10 goals, 8 assists. Their leading scoring blue liner is Seth Jones with 3 goals, 12 assists. He is behind Werenski, but Werenski's out for a month. On the slow side, Texier, 3 goals and an assist. I know this is probably a mix of him not being given prime scoring opportunities and ice time as anything else. But Texier stands out because I thought he was going to have a very good rookie year. And Josh Anderson with a goal and 2 assists kind of stands out as well. Korpisalo's your starter, and they are 6 points behind Pittsburgh. So we're not in the realm of, well, they're not going to make it. But I've always said once a team falls 10 points back, the odds of them making the playoffs becomes really, really difficult. Like, it's just you have to go on such a run, and there are a number of teams that have to get cold in front of you as well. Next up, Tampa Bay in against Nashville. This game starts at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. The Tampa Bay Lightning 12-9-3 over their last 10. They're 5-4-1, and their goal differential's +9. I'm getting near the point of just giving up on Tampa really getting it together. They've had these games in hand, and they haven't been winning a lot over the last couple of weeks. On the Nashville front, they're 12-10-4. Over their last 10, they're 3-5-2. Their goal differential's down to +2 now. This is a team that has looked dominant at times this year. And right now they haven't. So this is a matchup between 2 teams that are underachieving. This could end up being the best game of the night. Kucherov's the leading scorer for Tampa. 9 goals, 19 assists, 28 points. Hedman, the leading scorer on the blue line. 4 goals and 18 assists for him. On the slower side, Joseph stands out with 4 goals, 3 assists because he's very prominent during games, so you would think he would score more. Johnson, 5 goals, 6 assists. You know what? Tyler Johnson is this year's JT Miller. He is the guy on Tampa that isn't scoring as much as he would if he was somewhere else. We've seen what JT Miller's done in Vancouver. If Johnson ends up becoming at some point a guy they need to trade to keep everybody else under the cap, he could be another JT Miller where he scores a bunch of points somewhere else. No confirmation on Tampa's goalie. I'm thinking Vasilevsky. They're 4 points behind Buffalo, 5 points behind Pittsburgh. On the Nashville front, Duchesne's the leading scorer, 7 goals, 13 assists among the forwards. On the blue line, Yossi's the leading scorer and leading scorer for the team at 7 goals, 17 assists. On the slower side, Craig Smith, 2 goals and 5 assists. And Dan Hamhuis, who was never a huge offensive dynamo, but still just the 2 assists so far. The offense is gone with Hammer. Rene's their starting goaltender tonight, and they are 3 points behind San Jose for that last playoff spot. So for Nashville, again, it's not panic time. Anytime that it's less than 6, let's just say less than 6. There's no reason to really worry about things a whole lot. At 6, you kind of get concerned, and then at 10, if you want to panic, start setting things on fire, I guess you can. I'm not going to tell you you can't. You shouldn't, though. Really, really shouldn't, especially when it's a cold time of year. I wouldn't be doing that. Horrible time to need a new place to live. Anyways, that being said, I need to change boards. Okie dokie. Dallas in against Winnipeg, or as it's known around here, Avon. 2 of our teams are playing each other tonight. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. And it's always interesting when these teams play each other. Dallas is 15-10-3. In their last 10, they're 7-2-1. They've got a goal differential of +7. But they've been a little shakier lately. On the Winnipeg side, they're 16-10-1. Over their last 10, they're 7-3. They've got a goal differential of +1. And now they got to show they can win at home. And for Dallas, they kind of got to show they can win on the road. So this is going to be interesting. Leading scorer for Dallas is Sagan with 6 goals, 15 assists. Honestly, 21 points in 28 games. That's not where Sagan needs to be. So it's been a down year overall for their top guys. Heiskanen, 6 goals, 11 assists on the blue line. He is the leading scoring defenseman for them. Pavelski started standing out again for the wrong reasons at 5 goals, 7 assists, which is low. Corey Perry, 3 goals, 6 assists. He had kind of an offensive run there for a few weeks. That seems to have passed as well. Hudobin's going to be the starter tonight. If you're a Winnipeg fan, good news. Hudobin often doesn't get goal support. They're the number 1 wild card. They would play Edmonton in the first round if it started today. Which, of course, will bring all of us who remember the matchups between Dallas and Edmonton in the 90s. It's a reminder right there. On the Winnipeg front, Linus, their leading scorer, was 7 goals, 18 assists. I don't know what's weirder, that he has 7 goals or that he leads the team in scoring with 7 goals as part of it. Morris, he's their leading scoring blue liner with 2 goals, 13 assists. On the slower side, Lowry, 2 goals, 2 assists. And again, I'm kind of reaching here. Kulikov, a goal and 3 assists. Last time I had Kulikov on the board, he at least got a point. So we'll see if that happens again. Hellebuck is your starting goaltender tonight. They're number 3 in the Central. They would play Colorado in the first round, and they would be on the road in the first round against Colorado. That could be a fantastic series if that happened. Just throwing that out there. That could be a fantastic series. Next up, Ottawa's in against Vancouver. I would have thrown up an Akbar magnet. I thought about it this morning. I even thought about wearing an Ottawa jersey just to kind of really throw in there that the game starting at 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, we could see Ottawa come out of there with a win. Ottawa's 11-15-1. They've lost 4 in a row. Over their last 10, though, they're 5-5. They have a negative 15 goal differential, which is bad. But on the positive side, they're a really hardworking team. Vancouver is 13-11-4. Over their last 10, they're 4-5-1. They have a goal differential of +8. So they'll be looking to fix some of their numbers tonight. Do not underestimate the Ottawa Senators on a night where I believe it's tonight they're honoring Alex Burrows and adding him to the Ring of Honor. Pajot, 14 goals, 6 assists to lead the team in scoring. Shabbat, 3 goals, 13 assists, 16 points on the blue line. On the slower side, Hainsey, who has been a stabilizing influence for them, a goal and 3 assists, that number's down. And Brandstrom still with just the 2 assists so far in the entire season. I had expected a little bit more than that. Nilsson is your starting goaltender tonight. They are 9 points behind Pittsburgh. They are 8 points behind Buffalo. Like I said, once you get to 10 points back at the playoffs, that's probably all she wrote. And before anybody says anything about St. Louis, because I know they will, I don't think St. Louis got further than 7 points out of the playoffs last year. So I remember doing videos where I would talk about St. Louis isn't that far out. I don't know why everybody wants them to tear it apart. On the Vancouver front, Pettersson's the leading scorer, 11 goals, 20 assists. Quinn Hughes, 2 goals, 21 assists, leads the Blue Liners, and has been their best Blue Liner overall. Myers, 4 assists so far, and it is a disappointing total. Not entirely surprising. And then Stetcher with 2 goals, 3 assists. Basically, all the offense on the blue line revolves around Edler and Hughes. And Edler's not playing in this game. So they're going to need to get some guys to help Hughes out on the scoring front. It would be nice to see Tyler Myers chip in a little bit there. Demko will very likely be the starter. DiPietro's been called up, while Markstrom goes to his father's memorial. It was a memorial service. So yeah, we're definitely in a dark period of time right now for starting goaltenders. It just sucks that all of this is happening at the same time. They're 1 point behind San Jose, Vancouver. So they're not in a playoff spot right now. And if they're going to stay relevant, they got to keep their eyes open, because catching San Jose could be difficult since San Jose's passed them the way they have. San Jose's at home tonight against the Capitals. This one starts at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. So if you're on the East Coast, you're planning on watching the Caps game, it's a late night for you. The Capitals are 19-4-5 over their last 10. They're 6-2-2. They have a goal differential of +21. Washington's playing excellent hockey. On the San Jose front, they are as well. They're 15-12-1. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Their goal differential is still a -9. They've dug their way out of the start of the season that they had that was so disastrous. They've been winning games by closer scores than they were losing games early in the season, which is why their goal differential is still a negative. Scoring front, Ovechkin's your leading scorer for the Capitals. Act surprised. 20 goals, 11 assists for 31 points. On the blue line, Karlsson, 8 goals, 29 assists, 37 points. Karlsson's the overall leader. Ovechkin's the number 1 forward. Karlsson's scoring has started to drop, which it had to. Defensemen shouldn't be able to score 100 points in this day and age. On the slower side, Hagelin, who I believe is coming back into the lineup tonight, has 5 assists. Jensen, 2 assists. It's hard to find somebody on Washington that's not performing right now. Holtby's their starting goaltender. They're number 1 in the Metro. They would play Carolina in the first round. On the San Jose front, Couture, 8 goals, 20 assists. He's the leading scoring forward. The leading scoring defenseman is Burns with 5 goals and 16 assists for 21 points. Sorensen, 4 goals and 4 assists. He stands out as a guy that you know can score more than this. Gambrell, 2 goals and 4 assists as well. And for the amount of time Gambrell's name comes up during commentary, it's surprising he doesn't get more points. They are the number 2 wild card. They would play St. Louis in the first round. These guys are surging. So potentially what ends up happening is, just think about this. If Arizona meanders, but if Vegas and San Jose pick up their game, we could see Vegas and San Jose in the first round. They could play each other in the playoffs again this year. I don't know how I'd feel about that, but it could happen. So there you go. You guys are all caught up. You guys are all set for tonight's action. Let me know your winners, all that other wonderful stuff. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a ton, and I will talk to you again soon.